Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first Leadership Lab of 2026, hosted by the San Marcos Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Justin Payne with Frost Bank, and I have the prior privilege of serving as chairman of the board for the San Marcos Chamber. And during that time I actually served on the board, I overlapped with our featured speaker, Randy Bryan with tekRESCUE. Randy is the CEO and founder of tekRESCUE and brings over 30 years of hands-on IT experience to the table. He specializes in helping organizations navigate the intersection of digital security and emerging automation. A best-selling author and the co-host of the Security Squawk podcast, Randy also co-developed the Friction Finder AI. He is widely recognized for his practical, jargon-free approach to complex systems with clear operational goals. Basically, he helps non-IT people like myself actually understand what is going on. Randy will be discussing 5 AI leverage points and how we can bring those into our organizations to better ourselves in 2026. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Randy Bryan to the stage.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Randy.
All right. Hello, everybody. Let's start off. Let's give a little round of applause for Justin. I appreciate that introduction. And then also, can we give a round of applause to Paige and her staff at the San Marcos Chamber for pulling this off? They always do an excellent job, and execution on things like this, there's a lot of work that we don't see that goes on behind the scenes, and we really appreciate them. And also want to thank you for being here, because we live in a very busy world, and y'all have taken out some time of your busy day to come here, eat lunch, and hopefully learn some more about AI, and I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. So I want to get a little temperature of the room starting out, okay? So raise your hand, just raise your hand. All right, you can put it down. Raise your hand if you use AI in any way, shape, or fashion in your business or with your business. Raise your hand. All right, so keep it up. So keep your hand up if you're using AI intelligently, you're using it to guide your processes, and you're using it with lots of confidence. And that's the gap that we're going to talk about today, because there is a gap between using AI and making it work with your specific business. Now, I want to kind of set the framework for today. So what this is not going to be a lecture about tools, right? I'm not going to get up here and talk about all the latest AI tools. I'm not going to hype up AI. It's not going to be like a demo. Y'all, how many people have been to one of my talks over the last couple of years? I like to do demos and all that kind of stuff. Today's not about any of that at all. Today is going to be about leverage. And the businesses out there that are winning with AI in 2026, those businesses aren't the ones that are just experimenting. They're the ones that have learned how to take AI and actually apply it to their business in ways that can actually help their business. It's about leverage. And so that's what today's main stuff is going to be: 5 AI leverage points that you can do in your business to win in 2026. I have a lot of interaction with people that go to conferences and stuff like that in whatever industry they're in, and there is just this general sense of, yeah, we know we need AI, but we really don't know what to do with it. And so what I want to do today is really talk about that framework that kind of brings it all together in those 5 points. So 5 AI leverage points: decision, execution, risk. And I want to start off just by framing it. Winning with AI comes down to 3 things: knowing where you are, knowing where you're going, and getting there safely. Okay, so I have this joke. I'm a dad. I'm actually now a granddad. I've been in IT for 30 years, so hopefully, right? I am a grandpa now, but I have this joke. It's a dad joke. Anybody, wherever drive, anybody says where we're going, my joke is, I'm not sure, but we're making great time, okay? And so how many people feel like with their AI, they don't know exactly where they're going, but man, you're making great time? Anybody feel like that? Is that just me? We got a few people that feel that way. But this is really going to be the framework for this whole talk. today is that you got to know where you are, you need to know where you're going, and you've got to get there safely. There's a lot that is at risk if we don't do that. So here's where most businesses start. They start with they're experimenting, they're testing new tools and approaches, they're learning, they're building knowledge about their organization and stuff like that. They're testing ideas, they're validating use cases, and it's all in this no judgment, no urgent kind of thing. Most businesses are here, and they're just basically kind of playing around with AI. They know there's some potential there, but they're basically just kind of playing around with it. And let me tell you, if you're in this spot, there's no judgment from here. You've got to go through this, okay? You can't get to where you need to be unless you roll up your sleeves and start playing around with it and start learning it and start understanding it. That's all there is to it. But the businesses that are winning, they're not stuck here. They're not just doing that. Probably they're still doing some of that. The businesses that are winning have moved past this. So here's what winning looks like with AI. And I want you to think about this for a second. So take a step back and just think about this for a second. So your AI, what if it could help you make better decisions? And decisions that are built on actual data. Okay, I'm a thinker, but I go by my gut a lot. A lot of times your gut's not your data, right? Your gut's just how you feel about something. Maybe you were walking in and somebody looked at you wrong, and now you don't like this deal all of a sudden. But the numbers are what really matters. And so with AI, you can make better decisions. You can also have faster execution with AI, where you have reduced friction, improved velocity, and you can also have fewer surprises, where you have proactive risk identification. Anybody that knows me, this is such a huge thing. You've got to do what you do. You've got to do it securely. That's why I said this whole talk, you got to know where you're at. You got to get going and get on that journey, and you want to do it safely along the way. So this is what winning looks like. What if you had this in your business? What if you were able to do that? This doesn't just work for I'm a construction company, or I'm a nonprofit, or I'm a designer. Y'all, this works for everything in between. And so if you can get to that place, imagine the edge that it would give you, and imagine the difference that it would make. So what we're going to talk about today are these 5 AI leverage points. We're going to talk about this over the next 15-ish minutes, and then after that, we're going to have a Q&A section. So you do have on your little desk thing in front of you, you do have a note card. If you think of a question, if you could write it on there, and at the end, Justin and I are going to have a little fireside chat, and we're going to go through some of these questions because I know there's going to be a ton of them. So here's what the 5 AI leverage points are. AI as a thought partner, AI embedded into your workflows, AI eliminating delays, AI managed as a core capability, and AI used securely. That's what we're going to talk about. And they're on the front page of your booklet. There's a place to take notes. I'm going to move fast, so you want to write faster. All right. So AI is a thought partner. If you've ever been to one of my talks over the last year or so, this is something I always talk about because people tend to consider AI as their assistant. And y'all, you may have already learned this. Has anybody figured out, I'm sure you have, that AI wants to make you happy? Have you noticed that? Unless you tell it, be mean to me, roast me, you should try that sometime. Just type in roast me. But unless you tell it to be mean to you, it's going to try to make you happy. So if you're working on a talk, okay, so I used AI as a thought partner to help prepare for this talk. I had this much stuff I wanted to talk about. Y'all, at any point, you could just give me a mic and I could just start talking about this kind of stuff. And I had to narrow it down into 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes worth of talk, right? And so I used AI for that. But I see AI as a thought partner, and I have basically taught it how to treat me as a thought partner. It's not out to please me. In fact, our custom GPTs that we use in our business, I always have a section in there, and it's called the hard truth section. And I tell the AI, you are a master of human sociology and psychology. Don't let us slip by the cracks. slip through the cracks, deny things, forget stuff, always point out the stuff that we're not seeing. That's how you have a thought partner with your AI. So when I'm preparing for this talk, the AI that I'm working with is helping me narrow it down. In fact, I actually thought of some things in that interaction, okay? But if you don't have your AI, if you're not using it like a thought partner, you know what's going to happen? You're going to say something like, well, I think like during my talk, I'm going to put a piece of peanut butter and jelly sandwich on my head. What's the AI going to say? Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. You want a recipe for bread? You know what I mean? So that's the difference between seeing your AI as a thought partner instead of just AI as an assistant. You don't want to just see your AI as an assistant. You want to use it and let it, train it to be used as a thought partner. So a couple things. It can help you evaluate options where you can say, hey, this is something I want to do in my business. What are other business owners doing? Okay, you got to be careful. If you just ask it straight out, what's Joey over there? What's he doing at his business? It's not going to tell you. But you could say, hey, what are other businesses around here doing with recycling as it relates to this? You can get information. Have it give you multiple scenarios and pathways. You can also help you find you can use it to help you find blind spots. So identify risks that you might have missed, something you didn't think about in your overall business plan. You really don't want that AI assistant to help you with the business plan. Because you're like, yeah, part 3 of my business plan is we're going to pour money into the San Marcos River or something like that. Like actual money. And it'll just come back and say, yay, you do that. You want it to actually help you with your blind spots. And then you also want it to challenge your assumptions. We all have a lot of things that we assume, and we don't want it to just go along with it. We want it to challenge our assumptions. So that's AI as a thought partner. And this is a good place to really learn. This would help you a ton to start seeing this. Okay, the next leverage point is get AI and embed it into your workflows. Okay, so you're over at a department, an agency, an organization, a company, wherever you are. You're going to have to step back for this one a little bit. Step back, and you may be a one-woman, one-person show. You can still do this. Step back and think about your processes. So using AI as an assistant, that's easy. You don't have to think about anything hardly. But using AI to get embedded into your workflows, you've got to step back and you've got to think about the big picture. What am I doing with my processes? How do I get from A to B? And so right now, there's ways that you can plug AI into your workflow. Ticketing, like at tekRESCUE, a ticket comes in, and we use AI to help us do all kinds of stuff with that ticket. We even use AI to help us with the notes that we put in the ticket when we're through. In your finance, you can use AI for real-time analysis and forecasting. You can do this right now. Now, you're not going to be able, where we're sitting right now, you're not going to be able to take 25 years and a bunch of complex stuff and try to get all this stuff. You're going to have to kind of do it piecemeal, little bit by little bit with your AI, but you can use it to help you with analyzing your financial data and forecasting. You can use it in your CRM. What if, a CRM, if you don't have one, if you deal with people at all, it's basically keeping up with your customers, right? What if your AI could say, hey, you haven't reached out to so-and-so in 2 years, or your donors, or whatever it is. Maybe it's time to start a campaign to reignite these people in your pipeline or whatever it is. And then also you can use AI in your workflows with your email. This is something that I specifically use. I said at the beginning, this is not going to be about tools, but I use an AI with my email. Every single email that comes in, it triages it. Is this need a response? Is this marketing? And then everything in between. And it writes a response for every single one of them. And so I go in when it's time to, maybe I reply to 1 out of 100 because most of them are just marketing emails. I go in and I reply and there's already a response there. Do I usually send exactly what's there? No. I like to be a little shorter, so sometimes it'll do 2 paragraphs or whatever. I'll just make it 1. But this helps me. This saves time all the time. So maybe you can't maybe we're not at a place yet where you could have add an employee that's AI, but right now you can embed AI into your workflows. All right, so leverage point number 3 is AI eliminating delays. So a lot of people, they think about AI doing tasks, and that's totally legit. In fact, we just talked about that on the last point. Use AI to help you create. Y'all, I use AI to help me build this presentation. I just tweaked a couple things. I told you I had AI help me get my talk narrowed down, and I felt really, really good about it. And then I said to that AI, write a prompt that I can take and put in another AI to make me a presentation. It took like 9 tries, but on the 9th try, it was awesome. So we think about using AI for tasks, but my point is, though, think about where you're spending the most time in your business. Could you use AI to eliminate delays? So I know there's people in here that have businesses that deal with customers right away, and maybe you try to always answer your phone. What if you're on a call? Do you want it to go to voicemail? Or what if someone, texts you or something like that? What if you could have AI that could reply back like right away? We do that at tekRESCUE. Replies back right away. It says right up front, I'm an AI. Makes a couple jokes, because if y'all know me, that's how I like it. Keeps it light. But that's great for interaction with customers right away. And we see chats all day long where people text, I got a problem with this or that. Have you tried this or that? No, let me try it. Great, awesome. Or boom, we jump in and say, hey, we'll have somebody call you. It eliminates that delay. We're all busy, and the customer's not over there waiting on us for a response. The handoffs happen quicker, and decisions are made faster. So someone who's winning with AI is learning how, once again, you got to take a step back, look at your processes, and see how can I take things that are costing time, and then reduce that time using AI. And AI is great at some things, and it's not so great at other things. One of the things it's really good at is taking a bunch of, I call it a shallow and wide data. You can take millions of records that are kind of all dealing with the same thing and just, boom, bring it all together, and that can cut out a lot of time. We've helped companies specifically deal with things like wading through bids, where there's a million bids out there, and in the past, it was like a half-time or a full-time job, going through bids and seeing if we want to take them, like a request for proposal and things like that. And use AI to just get what you really want out of it. And then humans can finish the rest. Or when you get those bids, use AI to pull it all apart. Once again, something that takes a human hours, an AI can do in like 5 minutes. So look at AI eliminating delays. All right, and then points 4 and 5, I stuck onto one slide because I didn't want to bore you with the security part. But y'all, this is about making AI sustainable. And AI could literally end your business if you're not paying attention here on this slide. So let's talk about that. So the first one, managed as a core capability. What does that mean? If I was going to start a business right now, I'm starting a business right now, let's say I don't know about AI. I'm going to get a phone, I'm going to get a phone number, I'm probably going to get an email. I'm probably going to get, if I don't get a computer, I'm going to get some kind of computing device. Y'all, those are all core capabilities. As my business grows, I have to have sales, whether it's me or a team or one person or whatever. You got to have sales. You got to have a way to do your books. You got to have a delivery of your product, execution. All of those are core capabilities. And like 100 years ago, we didn't need the phones, the emails, and all that jazz, but you do now. And I want to challenge you right now. You've got to see AI as a core capability. So I sat down with my team last year, March, April, and I just sat down and I said, y'all, this is one at a time I have with my team. And I said, y'all, we don't know exactly where this is going to go, but from this day forward, we're going to be an AI-first company. It's not going to replace your job. We're not looking to do that. We want you to be better so we can be more competitive. We don't know exactly where it's going to go, but that is something that we're going to do. It needs to become a core capability, just like you know how to do phones, just like you know how to do sales, you know how to do emails. It needs to be a core capability. Is it going to happen overnight? No. You can't just go click, core capability. There's going to be trial. There's going to be error. And what it will do, so it's learned, but what will happen is once it gets there, it'll have a spot that it earned. That's what really matters. You want your AI to make a difference in your business and make it worthwhile for having it. So strategic ownership and governance, performance tracking and optimization. I'm going to skip the middle one. Now, the fifth point, fifth leverage point. AI needs to be used securely and intentionally. Okay, so here's the deal, y'all. I just learned this 2 days ago. The number one litigation threat to businesses right now all revolves around data. Okay, I'm an IT. The I in IT stands for information, data, okay? We've been saying this forever, so it's the same thing. But I didn't realize the number one litigational risk now, the number one business risk now for companies has to do with data. Your data could get stolen and get ransomed, and you have to pay. Huge liability. In fact, I'm working with one of our customers. They're getting bought out. That's one of the things that the company that's buying them out wants to know. What are you doing to protect the data? Is it protected? So that's a big deal. And so also, if that data goes out and then it has like personal information that gets leaked, that can open up a lawsuit. That's another business risk that's built around data. And here's the one I want to bring in right now, okay? Now put it on this slide so everybody wouldn't just go, oh, security Randy or whatever, you know what I mean? Is that AI can have just as much risk when it comes to your data. It is very important that you use the right kind of AI. Over there on the left, it says investment in tools. The free AIs, for the most part, they take your data and yeah, they're told, keep it, not confidential or whatever, but it's just like a human brain. They take it and they learn it. And so your data could literally get leaked because of AI. So it's very important that you use an AI that is not going to leak your data, that's not going to share it with someone else. Y'all, recently, in the last few months, I've worked on 2 different business ideas / business plans, and AI has coughed up something, and I literally thought to myself, man, somebody in like Ohio built this using hard-earned, sweat and money, and uploaded it into AI, and now AI is just giving it to me. Just giving it to me for free. Now, I'm using an AI that's keeping my data with me, but it doesn't mind sucking up everybody else's data because that's the way that it works. So y'all, your AI, you need to use it securely, and you need to use it intentionally. What happens if it's not intentional or if it's not secure? Everybody's talking about it. And so everybody, if you can make an image rather than having to go buy one or go find one, if AI can make one, you're just going to do it. So your employees, if you have employees or a team, they're going to use AI regardless. So you've got to get out in front of it and be intentional and make sure you do it in a secure kind of way. So that's the 5 points. And the question on this last slide is, where could AI create leverage in your business without increasing risk? And that's really kind of a way to think of everything that I've just talked about. Where could it create that leverage without bringing in risk to your company? All right, so final thought. Winning with AI is a journey of steps, okay, guys? It's not a leap. It's not even really a destination. So yes, I talked about where you're going. Well, where you're going is going to change. As you grow, where you're going is going to change. It's really more of a journey. So you start where you are, you move deliberately, and you do it safely. So I appreciate everybody paying attention, taking great notes. And so now we're going to transition to our time where we're going to do a frequently asked questions. We're going to do a little fireside chat.
All right, we do have quite a few questions, so we'll see how many of these we make it through. But we'll start with this one. I sort of shuffled these, and none of these are mine. But at what point does AI become something a business needs to formally manage?
Wow. I would say, have you heard the statement before, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. What's the second best time? Right now. I would say right now. Like, get out ahead of it right now, because everybody's talking about it. People are going to football games, and during the commercials, they're talking about some AI prompt or something that they did. Everybody's talking about it. You got to get out in front of it. So now is the best time.
Now or yesterday, or,
Right.
yeah, a year ago.
But we're already here today.
All right, and this one you mentioned in your presentation about training AI for your use. How do you train AI?
So that's a really good question. So some of the newer versions of, say, like ChatGPT, you can just tell it, hey, save this into memory, and it will always remember it. Like, do you have a name that you want your AI to call you? I have mine call me Mr. Randy. And so I just say, hey, call me Mr. Randy, save it in your memory, boom, it'll do it. You can also, we'll just talk about ChatGPT since it's the most popular. You also have Copilot, there's several others. But you can also start like a project, and if you do all the chats about a certain thing, you can do them inside that project, and it will remember the information. And then so like I have a podcast, and so I use a separate project to help me find breaches, help me find little nuanced things that people might want to hear about, and I have it all in that separate project. Or you can also, over where it says on the left, there's a place that says GPTs, and you can go to My GPT, which will create custom ones for you. Now, I know I'm getting off into the weeds a little bit, but bottom line is you can do that, and then it'll let you just tell it what you want. And so you don't have to like know how to code or anything weird like that, like nerd stuff. You just tell it in plain English what you want, and it will create it. And I've seen some people create some fantastic ones just doing that.
What's interesting about that one is I'm curious if you're actually AI. You answered the second part of that question without me asking it, but what are some secure AI tools?
Oh, good question. So this changes, okay? So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. It may change tomorrow. ChatGPT for Teams, which it was ChatGPT Team like 4 months ago, and then it was for Teams. Now it's called For Business. But ChatGPT for Business actually keeps your data separate. The paid versions of Copilot keep your data separate. If you have a paid version of Google Workspace, if it's like the enterprise, the higher level, it's automatic. If it's one of the lower levels, you gotta it's not intuitive. You gotta go in there and turn off a setting. But once you do that, it will literally keep your data separate. And then also in the paid version of Claude, it's optional, but there's a place where you can turn off. And it's usually, it'll say something like, use my data for training other AIs. There's been some pretty bad things that have happened, like a nonprofit down in Australia after a flood last summer. They uploaded all of the victims to AI because they were trying to do something with AI. And then that information gets out there. AI is not going to serve it up to you right away, just automatically. But if you ask the right questions, you can get it out. So those would be the ones that are going to be more secure. And what I would just say with that is do your research as well. So like a lot of the tools are secure, and there's other ones that are just, they're not. They're kind of sketchy.
Outside of the specific tools, what are some other safety steps that business owners or organizations should consider when using AI?
That's great. So getting out in front of it, and so in the back of your booklet, we actually have there's a section on doing like an analysis of where you are. Just rate yourself on 5 or 6 things, 0 to 3, and then it kind of tells where you are. There's also a section on, hey, here's a roadmap from going from where you are to 6 months down the road. And then right after that is an AI acceptable use policy. I know that is like the nerdiest of nerdiest things you've heard all day long, but how do you keep your business safe? Well, employees need to know what's acceptable and what's not as far as it goes with AI. And that's all in that AI acceptable use policy. Obviously, you're going to want to copy and paste it, make your own. Feel free to reach out to me on Facebook or LinkedIn if you have questions about it. But that's the best place to start. And then I would also say right after that, or even right before that, is provide something for your employees that is actually one of the secure ones. So we provide the ChatGPT for business, and all their stuff that they do with tekRESCUE they can do inside of there. And I got to tell y'all, like, I know this is something that I worry about more than most people, but it's a great feeling knowing, because my guys and girls are in there doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like learning and growing and working with AI and sharing stuff that's, like private information to tekRESCUE, IP is what they call it. Knowing that it's in a AI that's keeping that data separate from everybody else is really, really good, especially when AI spits out a business plan to me or something like that I know someone else put work into.
Well, that you sort of went into some of the handouts, but we did get a question. What else is in the handouts, or what else would you want to point out that was given out to our audience today?
Yeah, so it was just those three things. An assessment of where you are, which that was kind of the framework for today. Start where you are. And then there's a 3 to 6 month roadmap. Take it with a grain of salt, make it your own. That's the move deliberately part. And then there's the AI usage policy, which is the do it safely part. So, man, I know that this is such nerd talk. And hopefully it's applicable to your business, and you can help your business move and also do it safely.
Is it possible to remove data or information from AI unsecured AI tools once you've provided it that information?
Everything's possible with enough time and money. I don't think that once it's in the free version of ChatGPT, you can just go, hey, remember that spreadsheet I uploaded of all my ex-girlfriends? Like, nope, you're not going to get that back. But if it is something that's really awful, I would say probably reach out to a lawyer, because you can probably do some kind of cease and desist or something like that to get it pulled. The best thing is it's been the wild and crazy days up till now. Now you know the truth. Now it's the time to make sure moving forward that you do it the right way.
Is there an effectiveness test done on automated responses versus AI responses, or how do you juggle that to make sure whatever you're immediately sending your customers, as you mentioned, is helping them, is working well? How do you measure that success?
Okay, so one of the things about AI, AI is a great tool in the hands of the right person. Okay, so my next door neighbor, back in the day, we were putting up crown molding, and he said, I have the most expensive crown molding saw in the world. You want to borrow it for your crown molding? I'm like, yeah, buddy. And so I'm measuring and all this stuff, and I'm cutting. I get my crown molding up there 1/2 inch in the corners. And I learned how to caulk with a knife. They say caulk's only good for like 1/18 of an inch. I could caulk a 1/2 inch gap using a little bit of knife. What's my point? I'm not a construction guy. The best tool in the world did not make me better at doing crown molding. It didn't help at all. I could have literally used my old nasty handsaw that I had, and that would have done, just as well. Probably would have done better. Okay? So your question, how do you tell if your automations are doing better versus your AI? And what you're doing with AI is you got to get in there and you've got to put eyes on what's happening, and you have to evaluate it. Just today I saw our AI chat, somebody chatted us and said, they didn't say whether they were a business or residential, okay? So we focus on business. We'll help residential, like friends of friends and all that stuff. We'll do stuff for residential. The AI just assumed it. And it said, because it was like, I'm a person and I have a laptop, I must be residential. And it replied back, hey, so here's our email address. If you email Terry, who works at tekRESCUE, he'll help you find a local provider to help you with your thing. And I was like, no, time to flog the AI is what I was thinking. But that's what I'm saying, is you've got to put your eyes in on what's happening. Now I just need to go back in and say, never refer business out to somebody else. Just refer to Terry. And then Terry can, if he actually needs to, he can refer it out. But I was like, no. So I would say the answer to that is you got to put eyes on it. Don't just automatically throw away your old automations, because automations are pretty dang good if you've got them, because they don't have any kind of leeway in them. But bringing in AI to stuff like that, though, can open up a phenomenal, phenomenal door. So bottom line, put yourself in there. You're the expert, and we need you need your expertise as you work with AI.
This is a tough question, but it's something that's affecting Texas and the rest of the U.S. Environmental effects. How do we use AI in a more environmentally sustainable fashion?
Okay, y'all, whoever asked this question, kudos to you because you're paying attention, okay? I want you to think about this.
Yeah.
This morning, all I've had to eat today were 2 dates, okay? I love organic, dried dates. I've had 2 dates. 2 measly, stinking dates. That's all I've had all day long. I went and I've done a talk. I'm doing a Q&A. Like, off those 2 little bitty pieces of power, I'm over here like doing talks and making presentations and all that. AI would need enough power to do what I did on 2 measly little dates. AI would need the power to probably make a house run for an entire month, okay? So where it's going, where it is right now, it's not long-term sustainable. It really isn't. But y'all, we're at the beginning of a technology, and so it's gonna have to grow, even if they didn't give a flying rip about the environment. They're gonna have to be better at being efficient. With it, because AI couldn't even tell you your name off 2 dates. It takes to make an image in Gemini, it's the same as running a microwave for a month. It takes a lot of power. It really, really does. So we're at this place right now where we have to figure out how can we make it more efficient. And look at humans. Look at what we are as a creation. That is phenomenal and mind-blowing, the stuff that we can do. And over here, we're trying to mimic what the human brain can do, and it just takes a lot. Probably they're doing things like making small nuclear power plants that are like the size of this chair, that can run AI data centers. But it's a very real issue that's going to have to be dealt with, or we're going to run into a brick wall. It's not sustainable long-term the way it's going. Didn't think you were going to hear me say that, did you? But that's the reality, y'all.
It is the reality.
So that's a great question, because that's a very real reality, and it costs way more than $20 a month, right? Can you power your whole house for a month for $20? No. So you're paying your $20 to the AI, and somebody out there's throwing trillions into it to pay for it. Eventually, all these things are going to have to level out, basically.
Yeah.
So
this question looks
started on that one, man.
Yeah. This question looks like it was written by somebody that knows you well.
Oh no.
Do you use AI for non-work related activities such as trip planning, Texas Hold'em training, or other things? Or what is your favorite non-work AI uses?
The Texas Hold'em is a great idea. I would have to hook it up somehow where it could see what I'm doing if I was playing like online or something like that. Whoever asked that, I do love to play Texas Hold'em. I love how you have to think about so many things and read so many things and also be comfortable with winning and losing money. To me, that's why I love it, and all the fellowship and stuff that comes out of it. So I don't do the trip planning thing. I have a Bible translator project. It's what it's called. It's a project, which means it's like an overall. I can ask all kinds of questions in there. And what I like to do is, if there's something in Hebrew that doesn't quite translate over exactly in English, I want it to like bring out the nuances and stuff. And it's phenomenal what it does. It blows my mind all the time. Like, man, we're missing so much. The English translation's good and all that, but like, we're missing so much. The Greeks said this, and here's a little word, and I always just thought it was this, but actually it means this. There's a lot of nuance and stuff like that. That's one of the things, if you know me, I miss nuance a lot, and so Justin knows that, and so that's why I like that specific custom GPT, because it brings out the nuance that I might otherwise have missed. So, good question.
I have actually used it for trip planning, and it's either user error or it doesn't work very well for me. So I'm not really sure there.
Make sure that you're using it as a thought partner, not an assistant.
Right.
I booked you a time at the peanut butter factory. It'll be a 12-hour drive.
All right, and I think I've made it to our last question, which is, which AI platform is currently your favorite, and which AI platform would you recommend those that are just getting started with dabbling
That's
with
a
AI?
great question. If you've ever been to a baseball game, I don't know if everybody does this, but like a Texas Ranger game, they have the dot race. Have y'all ever seen the dot race? And you have like a dot on your ticket, and the little dots go like this the whole time. You're like, yeah, blue, yeah, blue. The last second, yellow comes across the line. You're like, oh, dang it, I don't get a free Whataburger today, or whatever. So the AI race is a lot like the dot race. I mean, it is neck and neck, back and forth, back and forth. Currently, the ones that are killing it are Google. Google Gemini, they've been doing AI. They had AI like 10 years ago, where they were giving it pictures, and it was making its own like assumptions about the pictures and stuff. Their little data centers, their AI developed their own language. This is like 10 years ago. Developed their own language to talk to each other with. It's encrypted, and humans can't read it. Quite disturbing, by the way. They were surprised, I think, and shocked, because they were using it to do stuff in the back end, like spam filtering and things like this, and search and understanding people, that all the data you give them. I think the whole ChatGPT thing took them by surprise, kind of knocked them on their back, but they've come back and are doing really well. I personally would recommend the ChatGPT because I think it has more personality. Like Gemini, you ask it a question and you get like this great answer, but then it's like, let's put on our learning hats or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's like all the personality that it has. Whereas ChatGPT has more personality, and it interacts more in a way like they're not human. Y'all, they're not a person. They're not really like self-aware. Like the salespeople that are the CEOs of all these AI companies are like, yeah, we're just 3 months away from it being self-aware or whatever, which will open up a whole nother can of worms, by the way. But I think they're just doing that to get people to give them money. What it still is, it's just a mimic of the human brain that takes knowledge, and then you poke it here with an electrode, and you poke it over there with an electrode, and it goes, what? It says what you need it to hear. ChatGPT does that with a personality. And so if you can use it as your thought partner, the push back and forth as a person with a personality, I prefer more than Gemini. I know it took forever to answer that question, but as a nerd, Gemini is off the chain right now. They're so far ahead in my opinion, but that might change tomorrow, the dot race, and ChatGPT rolls out something tomorrow. What's real important, I think, in all this competition is that the companies keep safety in mind, and they're not just doing whatever, because it can be it could be used for bad as well. And so we want to make sure that they're doing it in a way that's safe, that protects humans. So. But I would say I know I'm taking a long time for that question. I love questions. If there's any more questions, raise your hand. They can come by and get your card. But the one last thing I was going to say was just the interaction. So Debbie actually encouraged me, because I was struggling with, I've got so much information. I don't know how to bring it down into 20, 30 minutes, right? She's like, talk to your AI about it. So I wrote her.
Did she say stop talking to me about it and
no,
go talk to your
yeah,
AI?
Exactly. Yeah. Go back to sleep. No. She. I made for her a storytelling hard truth GPT like a year ago, and she still to this day is like, Randy, this is so good, and she talks with it. She talks with it as she's working out sales problems, marketing problems, even organizational issues and things like that. And you can make it where it talks back. But just the interaction as I was preparing for this, and how it didn't just spit out stuff, it went off of what I was thinking, why I did certain things, and really worked as a great thought partner. And I think ChatGPT, for the most part, is really good at that. That's my answer. So.
Well, Randy, we greatly appreciate you taking time today to share your expertise. If we could all give Randy a round of applause.
Thanks, everybody. It was a lot of fun.
And then I'd also like to thank the San Marcos Chamber for hosting this leadership lab. San Marcos Chamber has a ton of great events, so if you're not following their newsletter or getting their emails, certainly subscribe to those. But thank you all for being here, and I'm sure Randy will hang around for a little while afterwards for questions. But thank you all very much.
Thanks, everybody.